So, a second area I want to speak about, which is the great Canadian joke in my mind, is our healthcare system. Now, uh, I really never thought too much about going into this because I've lived it to the nth degree. But if one more American tells me they want to come here for healthcare, I got to stop them. Um, my I have family in the US and I know what the quality of life is there. I know they have things like affordable housing, which we don't in Canada. I know their top income tax bracket is half of what ours is. It just goes on and on and on. I know that if you have a problem, there is a person you can complain to, right from the state's attorneys to protection agencies, you name it. They have to do right by you. And I know there's some obvious areas that hasn't happened, and there's some struggles, but look at the political leadership we're dealing with. Look at the Republicans. You've got moneyed people just trying to squash the rest of the country. So, you know, we don't we don't have that. We have hidden, very much hidden corruption in Canada. People don't understand what goes on in Toronto and Quebec. And for the life of me, I don't know why every company that comes to Canada, almost exclusively, they get some big deal from the government to locate in Toronto, which is the most expensive jurisdiction to have any business because people can't afford to work. They can't afford to get to work. They can't afford to work for a minimum wage. And chances are they have to live in a crappy windowless basement illegal apartment in order to do so. So that's kind of how we roll in Canada. Anyway, Canadian healthcare, haha. So I believe the only redeeming thing about Canadian healthcare is if you have like a major heart attack and you don't have any coverage, um, you're better off in Canada where they're not going to hand you a hospital bill. However, I can say unequivocally, people I know that moved to the States, um, some of them have amazing health care. And sometimes just through marriage, where, in a week, they see an orthopedic surgeon or a neurologist. Well, it took me 10 years to get to see a neurologist. So here's my healthcare journey. Um, I was kind of a kid with a lot of immune issues. I had very bad ringworm when I was about 10 and 11. And I'm not sure if it's a chicken or egg thing, but that did something to my body. And later on in life, after not a huge accident, but a painful accident, I ended up with lupus and lesions all over my face and suffered through years of tests, 5 or 6 different dermatologists unable to diagnose me until one particular one took a biopsy. I got a diagnosis, but the intent was to do reconstructive surgery on my face after all the lesions healed. So I looked like ET for quite a long time. And that happened when I was only 18 years old. So it made for a rough university life. At one point, I got too sick to attend and I had to quit. But basically, I felt very unwell. I was in chronic pain and no one was really on top of it. No one was really taking care of me. My dermatologist was good. He started sending me to an internist. They started tracking things. And that doctor took quite good care of me. Um, I was about 42 before those lesions would completely be gone. And I live with fatigue and things related to lupus, which are all totally manageable. Now, I also had endometriosis from a young age. I got pelvic inflammatory disease the first time I got married, which seemed to turn into endometriosis. And before I had children, I had 6 day surgeries to burn off any tissue that was growing on my ovaries, and one incision surgery where they opened my belly and took out whatever was behind the uterus. So, I've been through enough. Um, I've had a lot of injuries because I was a competitive athlete. So, despite my physical stuff, I was a nationally competitive gymnast, internationally competitive baton twirler, I played soccer in my 40s. I lifted weights from the age of 18 to 40. I became instructor in Pilates Eldoa, um, using MELD, polyvagal theory, trauma release, and so forth, after the next phase of my health. So I had a very difficult time in my childbearing years. I developed severe migraines when I was about 18 years old, and I was the guinea pig for the drugs. So some of that stuff they gave me, I thought would eventually kill me. Often I would go to the hospital for the night so they could dump my blood pressure so I could stand up and go to work in the morning. I never told my employers how sick I was. I never shared that with people. I didn't want to be discriminated against in the workplace, and I would have been in those days. So I suffered enormously through those years, had very traumatic childbirths, which affected my children as well as me. Was only allowed to have the two kids because of my physical health, but luckily, given the nature of my ex who abandoned us when they were 3 and 5, it's probably a good thing. I don't know how I would have fed 3 kids or taken care of 3 kids or raised them. So I always fought. Lupus was always my battle. I would have really difficult periods. I had quite a few accidents in my life, none of my own causing actually, but had damage to my lower spine at quite a young age and had a neurologist in my early 20s, who'd first treated my migraines very effectively. And to date, every damn doctor I've had's fought with me about that treatment protocol. And he also identified damage in my low spine. And around 2008 and 9, I began having um, lumbar injections, which are done by an anesthesiologist. Incredibly painful. Big long needle, they do it in the dark, they stick it right into the facets of the joints. You don't have that done to you unless you've got enough pain to warrant it, which I did. I went through a couple years of that, but once I started Pilates in 2010, I got stronger, incredibly stronger, despite everything. And I struggled to keep my energy up. I cycled to work from the age of 18 to 38. Oh no, that was even longer than that, to 50. I can't even do my own math. I basically cycled till the day I got hit by a car. 2012, after cycling the entire winter and being in incredibly good shape, I'm instructing Pilates now. I have a full-time job. I have a contract for fund money, analyzing contracting behavior in a government agency. And one fall morning, I get completely cut off by a car who doesn't see me, who's waved through traffic. And I bounce off that car, fly through the air, and hit concrete on the other side of my body. The guy was turning into a wooded path. You would never see it. No street sign, nothing, no light, no markings. So, not something I had noticed, and I'd only been cycling that route from July. So, only a couple months that I had been using that particular route after a move. Um, that accident ended my life. Everything I knew was gone. I think I slept for 5 months. I think I had 2 concussions. One when my brain slammed into the left side of my skull, and on the right when my face hit concrete. Now I wore a helmet, but my entire jawline was black and blue. My right shoulder, my left hand, and knee that had hit the car, my thumbs left out of the socket. My collarbone was out of the joint, as are 3 or 4 of my ribs, which remain there because no one would help me. So I get in this horrible accident. I'm black and blue. I got a massive head injury, and no one cares. I don't get to see a neurologist. I don't even get an MRI of my brain until 2019. It's the first time. And it shows the damage. Now, at the time, I had a lupus doctor in Ottawa where I moved after my ex husband left me and the kids. I followed him, hoping he would be some kind of father. Mistake on my part, because he's some kind of father, I tell you. But anyway, so, 10, 12 years of horrific stress, fighting to get support for my children and all that. And then this accident happens. And to me, it was like boom, boom, out went the lights. Out went the lights. I'll start again in a minute. Thanks for listening.